Here we go.
May the 3rd is World Press Freedom Day, here to raise awareness of the importance of a press that can freely report on topics, and to pay tribute to those who have been imprisoned or killed in the line of journalistic duty. And it makes its way to Counter-Strike in an unusual way. Voyna is a map that was released a few days ago. On the surface it looks like a war-torn Slavic city, but beneath is a hidden room, containing information and pictures showing what's going on in Ukraine and how Russia is
Wow. What a stunt, no? What a stunt.
Involved. I apologise for my pronunciation of words in this video. Those pronunciation sites are worse than useless at this point. For instance,
question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
So anyway, I think it's pronounced voyna. And this map was a project by the largest subscription newspaper in Finland, which I believe is pronounced Helsingin Sanomat. But I'll shorten it to HS, just because. Early in 2023, the HS newspaper commissioned 2 well-known map designers to create this map. The reason for this project? HS states that countless Russians are unaware of what is happening in Ukraine. In this room within the level, they are forced to see the truth with their own eyes. Because in Russia, citizens can't just access the same sources of news and information as most of the world can. It is instead heavily vetted and censored, with access blocked to most sources of Western media, including the Finnish newspaper behind this project. However, people living in Russia are still able to play Counter-Strike. So what if HS were to use Counter-Strike as the
Bruder, they know how to go with the time. That's crazy. What a stunt. That's crazy.
medium to broadcast what's going on?
I don't want to get political. I'm not gonna like fucking say anything. Bro, I'm not into fucking politics at all, okay? I don't fucking know, bro. I don't even want to get it started. Please don't discuss fucking politics in the chat. Don't be fucking stupid now, please. Okay, let's go.
And that is why this map was made, with voyna chosen as the name, meaning war in Russian. In case you're unfamiliar with Counter-Strike, the game comes with a bunch of officially included maps which you can immediately play on whenever you want to. voyna is not one such map. To get access to this one, and the many thousands of other user-made maps for the game, you must visit the community workshop. This is where anybody can create and upload their own maps. Just like every other map made, voyna has its own page which you can visit in this video's description, even if you don't play Counter-Strike. But if you do have Counter-Strike installed and wish to play on this level, then you click
blank. I have this guy on my friends list, I think, no? Is this him? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
Click the subscribe button, and once it's downloaded, you can play the map in Counter-Strike like you can with any other. On the surface, voyna is a diffuse map, containing 2 bomb sites and various routes to reach them.
It looks
and I guess
nice.
its layout sort of works. I don't think it's going to win any awards for graphics or gameplay. It's a little unusual for a map to be hosted solely within one single large open area like this one is, using grassy banks as makeshift walls, and with blades of grass obscuring your visibility across the battlefield. But of course,
Taco
that isn't
vibes.
really what this map's about, is it? On the map, there is this monument of eternal flame. This is apparently a common sight in Russian and Ukrainian cities, serving as memorials of World War II. However, they claim this one in this map serves a different purpose. You can read their wording over on their page about this, but I took away from it that they want Russians to understand that war is happening in a place that looks very similar to where they live, since Ukrainian and Russian villages look quite similar. And then they use a series of fires and lights to lure players to this recessed corner, where they'll find a locked door. I can't find a way of unlocking this. I even decompiled the map, and it doesn't show any sort of trigger that would allow you to. So while I can't rule out there being a clever way of bypassing it, it's pretty difficult to gain entry to this hidden room without using cheats of some kind. I simply used no clip to fly straight through it. You can do this when playing the map on your own server and with SV cheats set to 1. And inside this room is a series of images, strings of text, and a map on the wall, detailing what's going on inside Ukraine. Walk close to an image and a Russian voiceover begins talking about what is being pictured. This room contains information about missile strikes hitting civilian homes, mass graves, and other images and information about the conflict that is otherwise banned in Russia. Normally, I imagine my audience knows the game Counter-Strike pretty well already, but for this one I'm assuming zero knowledge, and so need to give this mapping project some context, and to answer some questions I think you might have about it. Namely, how likely is it that this map becomes successful? And anybody familiar with the game knows the answer to this already. An outsider might think that the big hurdle is getting a map like this made and released, and that now it is, people will start playing it and they'll discover the room naturally and so on. But that isn't what will happen. In fact, the much bigger challenge for any map made for Counter-Strike is to get it played. and there's practically zero chance that this map would have achieved success on its own, where it left to the game's player base to naturally discover and to play it. Why? Because right now, there are currently over 133,000 custom maps on Counter-Strike's workshop. There are bots upvoting spam entries and downvoting proper maps, and so even if a map is very good, there's little chance of it gaining traction. It's a thoroughly saturated market out there. And if you take a look at the top few hundred maps on the workshop, the mapping standard is sky high. It isn't enough for a map to be good and to look good anymore.
Our server, DE Mustang, W map.
It needs to be incredible. And even when an incredible map is released, the game's player
That is so fucking sexy, bro. Oh, chat, I would love to... Oh my, I love anything water related, bro. I'm a water guy.
base isn't exactly queuing up to play on it. There was a time when they were, and that was about 23 years ago. Today, Counter-Strike is a mature gaming series. People have already established their favourite maps and game modes, which they loyally stick to for comfort gaming, or simply to remain good at. So most current Counter-Strike players will stick to practicing on just the few maps officially featured in the game, since that is what is important to be good at. So it would be highly unlikely for this map to naturally gain a following, even if hosted on servers and if advertised. And even if it did achieve moderate success, it needs to be played in a very specific way in order for the room to be viewed. Competitive mode doesn't allow for your camera after death to stray through walls, and while playing offline against bots, which, let's face it, is how most maps like this one will be played, the player is alive most of the time anyway. But for people playing it on casual game mode, and especially those who take the time to explore a new map from a spectator's perspective, they may indeed discover this room by chance. Though I do suspect that most discoveries will be made intentionally, and was probably the reason the map was played in the first place. Again, I'm saying stuff that's obvious to players of the game, but most people in Counter-Strike don't think twice about a locked door, because a locked door commonly just means a dead end in this game. Lots of maps commonly have them dotted about the place, just to give the impression that the map is bigger than it really is. So I don't think a player's first thought when they find this door is that there has to be a secret on the other side of it. So honestly, had this map been silently released, even if it had been played on, I doubt its secret room would ever have been something that more than just a handful of players would have discovered. And I'm not sure how much of a help it would be anyway. Counter-Strike is apparently played by 4 million Russian players, but among those, who isn't aware of the situation in Ukraine already? These are young people with access to the internet, who are already playing on an online game with and against people from across the globe. It's highly unlikely that this hidden room is going to be their first discovery of this sort of information. And even if it is it going to change their minds? But it's symbolic, isn't it? It's a free map for a free game, which, for now at least, remains free to play in places like Russia, where other sources of information have already been restricted. It reminds me of Minecraft's uncensored library, which contains a virtual library with hundreds of books inside, which people can access, even if those books are banned in the countries where they're from. Now, I can't imagine a worse way of reading a book than to read it in Minecraft, but it's nice that it's there, isn't it? For people with no other way of accessing it. Hopefully there's some other way. Hopefully several.
Fuck
it's
is
nice
that?
This is here, just in case there isn't. So this map is a talking point, a statement, something that will get the conflict talked about. Mostly by people who don't play Counter-Strike, and even among those who do, I suspect very few will visit the room to see it for themselves. But again, it's there just in case, and it's got me talking about it, and it's got you watching this, and I think that it's stuff like this that was the real purpose of making this map all along. And it's weird, I shouldn't have any problem with covering this sort of thing, yet my spidey senses are tingling. The mappers behind this project wish to remain anonymous in fear of backlash. So should I, as a YouTuber covering this topic, expect a backlash for covering this? Does the very fact that I worry I might mean that my freedom of press is at risk in some way? Maybe this is as good a reason as any.
Maybe I for reacting to this. Guys.
For me to cover this topic. And of course, it's a fascinating new chapter in Counter-Strike's history, at how the line between real life and video game can blur in unexpected ways.
Oha. It has more downvotes than usual. That's for sure.
May the 3rd.
Yeah. What are the comments on this bad boy? I love politics. I want to clarify, being a Russian and living in Moscow, these statements. The censorship in Russia works only on people who are not interested in anything but television, which has no freedom of speech since 2003. Everyone else can and are gaining all the information they can or want. As a Russian, I can say that everyone in Russia knows what's going on in Ukraine. That's the worst part. Interesting.